Well, welcome. Thank you all for joining. My name is Lisa. I'm the founder of Cannabis Marketing Association. You can introduce yourself in the chat, drop a website, a LinkedIn, let us know where you're calling in from. We'd love to hear a little bit about you before we get started, as well as if you have any questions or anything high level you're overall looking to learn or achieve today. I believe there will be time for Q&A at the end, and we've got a really good discussion plan for you, but anything you want to add in the beginning, just let us know. Okay, and quick introduction to us. So Cannabis Marketing Association, hey Max, hey Samantha. We are a membership-based group focused on education and best practices for industry marketers. We are based in Denver, but we have members all throughout the United States. And we host webinars like this 2 to 3 times a month. We produce content through our podcast, our blog, and social media, helping cannabis marketers do their jobs better. I'm a former cannabis CMO and quite struggled when I first got into this space, applying my non-cannabis marketing skills here. So that was partly why we got started, but also understand that we as an industry have a responsibility to tell really good stories about cannabis, about our businesses and what we're doing. And that largely comes through the communications professionals. So we really work to hold space for understanding and uplifting those best practices through events like this. And we also host our annual conference, the Cannabis Marketing Summit, which has historically been in Denver in June and was the first place we did Meet the Cannabis Press, which was Kim Prince's idea of Proven Media. And we did this in person and had a wonderful conversation. So we're keeping the momentum going. To our members, thank you so much for joining and being here. If you're not a CMA member and are interested in learning more, we are running a special through the end of the year. So please reach out to us at membership@marketingcannabis.org, and happy to talk about how we can help you and get you ready for marketing in 2024. That being said, again, please leave your questions till the end. You can throw them in the chat in the meantime, and we will get to them. I'm going to pass it off to our moderator today, Kim Prince, who will introduce the panelists and kick it off. And thank you again so much for being here. We will also be live social media, tweeting on Instagram. So if you want to tag us, tag the panelists, please engage. We're marketers. We love that. Our handle is @Canna Marketing. I will let everyone, all the speakers as well, let you know what their handles may be, and I'll look for you on social media. Okay, Kim, passing it off to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa. And again, thanks to everyone who's on to attend our webinar today. I'm Kim Prince. I'm the founder of Proven Media. We've been serving the cannabis industry since 2014, and our first Meet the Cannabis Press event, I just looked on my calendar here, was October 8th, 2015. So the series is 8 years old. We kind of let it die out a little bit. On my team, I have Sadie Thompson. She's our senior publicist. She's on the Zoom today. And Sadie really encouraged us to bring this series back. So we first collaborated with the Cannabis Marketing Association to do that. Very successful in Denver at the summit, at Cannabis Marketing Summit. And we were just thrilled. And we've since presented at MJ Biz and several other places as well. So again, thank you for coming, and thank you for being interested in what we have to say today. I want to give a little bit of the why we're doing this. You know, I was talking with our panelists prior to everyone hopping on, and really it's the holidays. And I feel like as PR and marketing professionals, this is really a gift to all of our attendees to be able to speak one-on-one with the reporters and producers and editors that cover our industry. So again, tap into what they have to say. You'll learn a lot from today's session. In return, it's also a gift in a certain way for the outlets themselves. Without cannabis media, we would not be able to communicate our client stories, our thought leadership, product features, business information, finance, investment information, policy information. So the reporters and editors who are on our panel today do come up from that news side, and we'll talk to you about how to present packages, what they like and what they don't like. So I think the first thing, in order to get things rolling, let's go ahead and dive in. And what's so cool is I look at some of the faces on our panel, and today, if it's okay, Javier, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through and we're gonna just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your outlet. And the reason I choose Javier to start today is I think Javier was one of the first cannabis reporters we met in late 2014, early 2015. So he's definitely experienced and we have a long-standing connection. So with that, Javier, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your outlet?
Oh, I love you, Kim. It's
Thank
been
you.
it's been a long road for sure. We came to meet in Pittsburgh. My name is Javier Case. I'm the managing director for Benzinga Cannabis. I've been building the cannabis business at Benzinga for 10 years nowadays. Benzinga Cannabis, from at least publicly available information, is the most read cannabis news source in the world. I'm also the CEO for El Planteo, which is the most read Spanish news source. That I can confirm. And I'm very grateful that you invited me to participate with some of my favorite colleagues in the space, really, and stoked to see that not only people from marketing and communications are attending this webinar today, but I also see several CEOs, CFOs, operators, which I think is super cool, because the likeliness of getting covered if you do things right increases exponentially, at least in my case. If you make my life easier, chances are I will want to cover it. So again, thank you very much.
Sadie, Emily's got me muted. Let's see if I can get her. Okay, there, Emily, I think Emily muted me. Sorry about that, Emily. Don't mute me quite yet. Okay, next up, let's do Garrett. Garrett, I feel like maybe Marijuana Venture was on that very first Cannabis Meet the Press event that we did. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your outlet.
Yeah, so I'm the editor of Marijuana Venture. We launched the magazine back in March of 2014, so we're coming up on 10 years. Started it initially just as a two-man operation between me and my publisher. Our first issue actually was just an 8-page black and white newsletter, and then it kind of grew from there into a glossy magazine, and mostly it's kind of been growing and evolving ever since. I came from a newspaper background. My publisher kind of came from sort of a software tech business, actually. Yeah, so we've been at it for about 10 years now, publishing a monthly print magazine and then also doing a couple different series of events. We're shifting in 2024 to doing a quarterly print magazine, focusing a little bit more on kind of what we do on the digital space, and then also expanding our event sector into other states as well.
Thank you, Garrett. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, we love your publication. Michelle, I'm going to jump to you next. I feel like you and I haven't necessarily connected previously, but you guys are really one of the pioneers of the cannabis media space as well. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your publication.
Thank you so much, Kim, and thanks for hosting us and including this today. Yeah, so Cannabis Business Times was founded in 2014. Noelle Skidinski, editorial director, co-founded it as an online resource for mostly cannabis, plant-touching cannabis businesses in the space. And then about a year later, GIE Media purchased the brand and launched a print magazine, which we still have today. And we also host the Cannabis Business Times conference every year. So that's been going on for the past 7 years. So really our focus is, cultivators and dispensaries in the space. We cover daily news. So our website, there's always something new. There's never a slow news day in the cannabis industry. So always keeping folks updated on legislative and regulatory updates. We also provide tips, latest research, for cannabis cultivation companies, again, just to kind of help them navigate, different production strategies, lowering cost of production. It's a really, big focus right now in the industry in order to stay competitive. And yeah, and again, so GIE Media, it's a 40-year-old publishing company based in Ohio. So that's where we are located. Exciting state to be in right now with issue 2 passing in November. So yeah, excited to be here and hear from everybody else on the panel.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much. Patricia, hold on. We're going to jump over to Iris. Iris Dorbian is a writer with Forbes. And Iris, very nice I met you in our planning meeting, but very nice to have you on the Zoom today. Welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and as a freelancer, what are you looking for? Forgive me, I'm not going to talk about what you're looking for necessarily yet, but tell us a little bit about you and kind of what your journey is, and as we move forward, a little bit about Forbes.
Sure. I'm a business and arts journalist. I've been one for 20 some odd years, since graduating with a master's degree in journalism. I have covered everything from the theater, the arts, because I had a theater background prior to journalism school, theater, arts, small business, private equity, finance, marketing, and the legal cannabis industry. I've been writing about the legal cannabis industry on and off for the past 10 years. I started writing about it when there were only two legal markets, Colorado and Washington State. And that was for the Wall Street Journal Small Business Report. And that was really interesting writing for that. Because there was a little bit of a war going on with my editor was really bullish about it, but his bosses were like, why are we writing about this? Because it was still marginalized and still very polarizing. And now, of course, it's become a lot more mainstream, even though it's not federally legalized. But I started writing about the business of cannabis for Forbes about 5 years ago. This was part of their Vices channel when they launched it. And I've also written about cannabis for various publications like Investopedia, Buyouts, Venture Capital Journal, Crane's New York Business.
Yes.
And there you go.
Iris, when someone's pitching you, are you strictly looking for articles for Forbes, or are you also open to articles for the other outlets that you submit to?
I'm open. I'm definitely very open.
Great. Iris is a freelance reporter for those of you in the audience, and the rest of our reporters are affiliated with a specific outlet. Let's go ahead and go to Patricia. And Patricia, tell us a little bit about your publication and what you're looking for. And again, it's Cannabis in Tech Today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm the executive editor with Cannabis in Tech Today. I've been with the publication since its launch. I think that was 2018. So we are part of Innovative Properties Worldwide, which has several publications all focused on technology. And that's the emphasis of Cannabis in Tech Today, is emerging technologies in the cannabis space. So this is our 5th year, coming into our 6th year now. And we have a quarterly print publication, and we're going into 2024, going to be doing more of a focus on digital. So we'll still have our print publication, but we'd like to ramp up our digital strategy there. So yeah, and then IPW itself has been in business for 10 years. So I've been covering this sector for 5 years, and it's yeah, it's been a really interesting evolution, to say the least. So.
Great. Thank you for being on our panel today. Just for the audience, Kathy Brewer with MG was intended to be on our panel today, but was unable to make it. So I want to give Kathy Brewer and MG a shout out as well. Yes, absolutely. Let's just dive right into the meat. I feel like there's so much to say. Again, as an audience, we want to help you guys understand what the reporters and journalists are looking for. And then we also want to help you guys understand how they can survive as they go through these changes. I want to also remind everyone that some have print, some have digital offerings, but all produce news. So don't pigeonhole any of the reporters into any certain funnel in terms of how their outlet is produced, but more focus in on what types of stories they're looking for, so that you can find out if your client or your press release, your product information is appropriate for them. So again, Javier, I'll just go right back to you. I perceive, and please correct me if I'm wrong, as Benzinga likes to cover financial news, investment news, and that type of thing. Javier, what type of stories, if I'm a PR person or I work for a company out there and I'm like, gosh, Javier, how can I get your attention? What are you looking for? What would you tell me?
I mean, the first thing that I always tell people is be human, right? Like act as a human being, right? Remember, I'm a human being. I receive 800 email pitches a day, right? I try to respond to all of them, even if it's with a short sentence, but be human, right? And try and think, like give me the information. Yesterday, I got an email from a random person saying, give me a call. It's like, what the hell is this about? Like, I don't know what this is about, but I'm definitely not giving you a call. This is either phishing or lazy pitching or whatever it is, right? I think it particularly covers, I would say, like anything that's interesting. We do tend to focus more on, I'm going to close Slack. The news can wait. We tend to focus on finance, investing, and business, but we cover anything that's interesting, right? Especially me, personally, right? But I manage a pretty big editorial team at Benzinga who covers most of the hard news. So, whenever I get a free moment, I like to cover fun stuff, celebrity related stories, and then like anything that's super interesting, right? I also contribute to Forbes. And one of the things that I'm going to say is I'm open to pitches for different outlets, but if you're pitching me at my Benzinga email, make sure it's a Benzinga pitch. Otherwise, it's a little bit weird. But overall, I think it's anything that's interesting. There's being from Argentina, I'm going to quote someone from Argentina. There's this famous book author from Argentina, classic author, right? And he said there are no good or bad topics, only good or bad ways of treating them, right? And that is exactly how I feel about any story here, right? If you can make a case for a story being interesting, whatever the angle is, I will want to cover it. And if you have the most interesting story, but you weren't able to present what is interesting about it, I might send one follow-up, like, okay, what's interesting about it? And if you couldn't make like a decent case for it, if you don't have an elevator pitch for this story, maybe the chances are reduced considerably. But to give you a short answer, like anything related to cannabis, CBD, hemp, or psychedelics will work for us. But of course, if there's a business or financial angle, that will increase your likeliness of getting coverage, right? And if not, like there's always some way to mix it, right? People ask me, why do you like to do all these celebrity interviews? They're so vain. One, I don't think they're vain. They're molding public opinion and helping us defy the stigmas around that. And two, there's always a business angle, right? Most people who are famous enough tend to have businesses, tend to operate their lives and their personas as businesses as well. So there's always an angle. It's just a matter of finding it, I think.
Yes, beautiful. And I think, Javier, one of the things you talked about is that you're getting hundreds, 800, sometimes 800 pitches in a week. So an elevator speech. So for the audience, be sure to be brief and concise and get to your point right away. Michelle, you guys cover a lot of cultivation news from what I understand. What types of stories are you looking for that will immediately kind of jump out in your inbox? Or what tips would you give our viewers to understand what you're looking for?
Yeah, sorry about that. I think I'm in a room where the lights are automated here, so it keeps turning off. But I'm gonna try to move around a little bit. They're very sustainable in the office that I'm at right now. Yeah, so we are, like Javier said, just echoing him. I mean, I think that there is an argument for any story. We do focus on the business of cannabis cultivators specifically, also retailers, anyone in the plant touching space, processors. But we do also cover legislative and regulatory news. So if there's any insights from people who are, operating in those places about, say, Safer Banking Act or the Ohio election recently, we are interested in hearing from people who are actually operating businesses in those spaces. We also, I think that there's so much, one thing that we focus on in our print magazine is in online as well in our stories, profiles of people, because I feel like lessons from cannabis cultivators, from dispensary owners, from people who've been in the space are just really valuable. People who've gone through the trials and triumphs of the cannabis space. It has been, I've been in the space for about 5 years. Again, the publication will be celebrating its 10-year anniversary next year, but it has been a wild time. So I think that, kind of giving voice to everyone who is working in the industry is so important. And, obviously we do have a niche market being B2B, but we do hope that consumers understand just the really good work, the hard work that's being done in this space, the passion that people have, for cannabis, and also just, it's really difficult to be successful in this space, and it's a great opportunity to celebrate people who are really working hard to create, safe access to tested products, and with a host of medical benefits that we don't even, understand yet. So, again, that is our focus. So we love to hear, again, insights from leaders of cultivation companies, dispensaries, opinion pieces. So, if a leader from a company has an op-ed that they want to submit, we actually just ran one recently last month about the Department of Health and Human Services recommendation to reschedule cannabis. So always interested in those insights as well. And that's, yeah, I think that covers it. So
Great, great. Garrett, I'm going to jump over to you. We love your publication. I know you've got some changes. We'll talk about for all of the publications, what we're looking at for 2024. Everybody's kind of going through their evolution. But with that said, Garrett, tell us the types of stories you're looking for, the types of stories you want to cover, and what the audience can absorb in terms of how they might get your attention.
Yeah, so we're kind of looking for anything, general business of cannabis, and that can be a pretty broad term. I guess kind of to piggyback on what Javier and Michelle kind of both alluded to is, we're looking for stuff that's interesting. We're looking for stuff that's unique. We all, I think, kind of wade through hundreds of emails a day on, a lot of these emails. And I think people who are sending these emails oftentimes don't even realize how similar they are to one of the other people that works in PR or works in marketing or whatever. So we kind of tend to get inundated by a lot of very similar sounding pitches. And so it's kind of this idea of be unique, be sort of, different in some way, and kind of look at a little bit what the other people are doing to kind of recognize what really does set you apart. And one of the things, kind of like Javier said, maybe if somebody kind of floats something that might be intriguing, I might follow up with a couple questions, but generally, I'm looking for something that kind of grabs my interest pretty quickly. I've responded to people in the past with well, tell me what sets you apart or what makes you different. And I'll have people come back, and probably everybody in cannabis has heard this sort of thing a million times. Well, we produce the best products in such and such state, and it's like, I mean, that in itself shows me that the pitch is pretty undeveloped at that point, because everybody's saying that, everybody's telling me that they've got the best products, and there's really very little quantifiable way to prove that. And even if you could, it's really not that interesting of a story. I don't think you go into other CPG brands or alcohol brands or whatever and get a lot of that pitch that that the whole pitch is just we're the best. Show me some numbers why, show me some backstory why, show me some history or some innovative approaches, show me something you're doing in terms of social justice that stands out, show me something that you're doing that's forward looking. And those are kind of things that can kind of elevate you to the top.
Yes, Garrett, and I can't, sorry, go ahead.
Those were great points. Yeah.
Yes, agreed. I do want to reiterate to the audience, if you are sending a sales pitch to any of these editors, just go ahead and spam it yourself or put it in your trash. They're looking for news stories, things that actually have a relevance in the marketplace. As Garrett said, if your claim to fame is that you're the best, they're probably not even going to look at it. As Garrett said, every company, a lot of companies we speak to, especially in the beginning, they're like, yeah, we've got the best edible, we've got the best concentrate, it doesn't matter. You're probably not the best. Prepare 3 talking points that really differentiate your brand from another brand. Have those ready and get to the point of those right away in your pitch, or these editors, they'll just throw it out. Again, they have good sniffers, I don't know what else to call it. And if they smell a sales pitch, they might not only not run that piece, but they might never open your email again. So make sure that you understand their publication or their outlet, what they're writing about, and then how your product or your person or your company fits into that. And remember, they're writing for their audience. They're not writing for you. They're writing for their audience. That's how they keep their readers and viewers. And again, Patricia, I'm going to go to you because what I like about having you on the panel is you are a freelancer. So you're not necessarily beholden to maybe any certain niche. What types of stories are you looking for, and how can our audience get you to open their emails?
Was that for Iris
Sorry.
or for me, Kim?
I meant that for Iris. I apologize. And Patricia will.
Okay.
I apologize. Thank you.
Okay. First off, I echo what my colleagues have said about the importance of sending pitches that are new, noteworthy, newsworthy. Please do not send me press releases, these perfunctory press releases on a new CBD product where you claim it is the greatest and you inundate with a lot of superlatives. That doesn't tell me anything. So I'm looking for something that's new and noteworthy. Regulatory changes, new markets legalizing. I will do Q&As with entrepreneurs if there's something new and notable about their story. Also, sorry, celebrities, they get a lot of views, they get a lot of attention. If a celebrity has launched a new CBD brand, cannabis brand, yeah, I will talk to him or her, absolutely. Also, I used to do more of it, but sometimes I like to write something about a social equity initiative, like with Last Prisoners Project. I think it's really interesting and worthwhile and has a lot of merit to the space. Also, touching upon my arts background, I really do enjoy writing about a theater project that centers around cannabis, or maybe a film, a book, or a museum. And I've written about all of them, if it's new, and also studies and forecasts, especially business forecasts. It's very popular. That gets a lot of views.
Yes, the business of cannabis never goes out of style in terms of understanding what's going on with the business and the trends. Beautiful. Thank you, Iris.
Mhm.
Patricia,
Yeah.
your name implies that you're looking for tech news. Tell us a little bit more about what you're looking for.
Yeah, so we're always looking for emerging technologies, and there's a lot of tech coming into the space from other industries. So I love to hear about how you're adapting agricultural tech or whatever it might be to this space. I especially enjoy, talking about extraction technologies, bringing automation and AI into the space to help people optimize their grows, because as the industry expands, of course, it's more and more important to be really efficient. But I also have a background in anthropology, so I like to bring the human element to these technology-based stories. And when you're in the cannabis space, I think anyone you talk to, well, most of the people you talk to have a reason for being in the space. So I enjoy talking with inventors and people who are excited and passionate about why they're bringing their technology to the space. So if you're sending me a pitch, it also helps if you'd look at the editorial calendar. We put a lot of thought into what we want to cover, and I kind of am beholden to that, right? Once it's out, I've got to cover those angles. So do me a favor and send me that. And something that I joke a lot with my creative director about is the surprising lack of press kits. Give me some images, man. Like, put a press kit on your website. Give me something to work with, so that, like Javier mentioned earlier, so that it makes my job easy. I've got so much to cover in such a short amount of time. we're all working on thin margins, I think, in this space. So please help me to help you and give me the resources I need to cover you effectively. And especially when you're dealing with a print medium, I need high res stuff. I've got to have quality materials to work with. So if you make our jobs easier by pitching us on things that we want to talk about, we've told you what we want to cover, in our editorial calendars. Give us a human angle, something that's new and innovative, preferably, but at the very least, have some killer images that we can use to amplify your voice. And that's some of the things that have made it easier for me to cover the stories. And I liked your point, Javier, about being human. We're all trying to shine the best light that we can on the space and help bring all of this really important educational information to people. It's not only helping to legitimize the industry wherever you are, but these are stories that we're hoping will kind of permeate the globe and the conversation about this plant. So I know we all take it pretty seriously and want to give the best coverage we can and the most insightful coverage we can of the industry. So if you can bring that to a pitch, I know it's a lot to ask. It certainly gives me a better opportunity to showcase your interests.
Beautiful, beautiful. I want, Javier, did you raise your hand there? I couldn't see. Yes, you have got a comment. Oh, you're muted. Emily, we got to unmute Javier.
There you
Never mute Javier.
There you go. No, I muted myself.
There you go.
If I may, I wanted to I have I took notes because I love this and I kind of nerd out, but I have a laundry list or shopping list of all the things you mentioned that I want to second. On images, I'm going to go backward. Patricia mentioned images, by the way. What blows my mind is people who are particularly centered on design or images, even photographers or whatever, tend to send the worst pictures and 200 kilobytes. It's dude,
Yes.
2 megabytes. It's not very hard. And they go no, because I have this 50 megabyte image. Well, you can reduce it, So that helps a lot. Then she mentioned tech. Again, what's new? If it's another POS, ERP, CRM, I don't know how far it'll go unless it's the most interesting story ever. Iris mentioned celebrities. They're cool, dude. Journalists don't always make a lot of money, but there are some perks, like going to free concerts and talking to the Jane Fondas of the world. Don't take that away from us. Then from Kim, clear structure for emails, bullet points, few words. If you cannot summarize your pitch in the first 2 sentences, you probably lost us. Profiles for people, going to Garrett's points, profiles for people, I don't know, it's hard to pitch that one, tell my story. There's so much to tell. Again, if you can't make a point within 2 sentences, being the best is no longer a claim to fame. That is a pissing contest, and to me, it just smells like old school cannabis community where it was a bunch of alpha males, machos, seeing who had the best bud, and doesn't resonate with us. And the first thing that Garrett said is a lot of pitches sound very similar. I love AI, I love GPT, but that is a tool. If your pitch starts with when the sun sets over California, it's dude, come on.
Yeah, just the facts. Stick with the facts. Go ahead, Garrett. I thought Garrett said something. Yeah.
Oh, I'll just real quick, not to pile on everything, but the photos are such a huge thing especially for those of us who work in print. I got a headshot, I think yesterday, it was 11 kilobytes. I don't even know how you make a file that small anymore. It really is just such a central component of what we do in print. And, again, to Javier's point, making our jobs easy. It doesn't, just because you make our jobs easy doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to get, publicity of any sort. But at the same time, if you make my job hard, it's going to sort of, push you in the other direction. So, yeah, if you can make my job easy, especially when it comes to photos, it's probably one of the things that I go back and forth with people the most, and probably eats up the most number of my emails. Sometimes it's amazing how I can get an interview scheduled in 5 minutes, and then it takes the next 5 days, and I'm still bugging people about a head, a simple headshot, let alone some, shots of their retail shop or whatever it is that I'm working on the story about.
Yes. For our audience, the one thing you want to do is make sure that your press release package is ready to go. As Garrett said, he doesn't really have the time to be going, well, he didn't say it exactly this way, but going back and forth with you 5 times to get an executive headshot. Like, he's got deadlines, he's got a lot of pressures. Get that package ready. Make sure that your photos are high res. Make sure they're not blurry. Make sure you understand if it's an executive shot or a product shot. I want a show of hands. Some I have read off and on throughout the years, oh, the press release is dead. I insist the press release is one of the best tools you can produce to help reach these editors. Again, the essentials are the headline, the subheadline, the who, what, where, when, why, how much, where for more information. Accompany that with the press release. Can I get a quick show of hands from our panelists? Are you guys, how do you still look at press releases or feel they're one of the best tools?
I still look at them. Yeah.
Great. Excellent. Yeah, again, understanding that these editors and producers are getting hundreds of pitches a day. So if you can get your high-res photo, your press release, your bullet points and everything, and I think it was Michelle or Patricia that said, make sure you have a media kit to give as much a boilerplate that gives the essential facts about your company. Make sure that you have those ready to go, and you will increase your odds of building a relationship with that editor or news producer so that your news will be covered. As Javier said, they're human. They got a lot on their plate. Make their job easy, and then you get coverage. I just have to give a shout out to Claire Erickson with Bovida, who's in our audience. She wants someone to do an article about Drew Emmer. So I'm just pitching Drew right now, and we will get you all the details. Drew is a celebrity in cannabis. So I'm just throwing that out there because Claire put it in the chat. So, maybe let's see, what my favorite question is, and maybe it's repetitive here, but what is the one thing PR people do that make you go, I'm done. There's no way I'm working with them. There's no way I'm opening up their emails again. What is your biggest pet peeve about some of the pitches that you're getting, and how can we avoid those? And anyone can start. Michelle, are you up to jumping in on that one, or?
Sure. I mean, I saw, this question before. I think just, I don't know if I'd ever just never open a release again, right? Because we're all human, and I understand that their job is to try to pitch us, right? To get things covered, to bring attention to their clients or to the subject that they think is an important. There's also another question I think, that we were talking about when preparing for this panel was, how many times is too many times to follow up. And I feel like people may have different opinions on this, but like I think Javier says, we get hundreds of emails a day, hundreds of pitches, and often we miss really important emails because they're just, or pitches that we might be interested in because there's just such a flood. So I would say, just again, echoing what Patricia mentioned about pictures, just including those is so important. But in terms of pet peeves, I think we sort of covered them, maybe just mostly product promotions that might not necessarily be of interest to our audience, to cultivators and dispensary owners. We get a lot of consumer pitches that are definitely for a consumer audience. That's just not ours. But again, not necessarily a pet peeve, just not really what we're looking for. So.
Anybody else have pet peeves? Thank you, Michelle. Anyone else have any pet peeves that they want to? Iris has got one. Let's go for it, Iris.
Oh, this is a big one. When they promise an exclusive, and I go along with it, and I'm about to post it. This is after I've interviewed, and then I find out that they gave the same exclusive to a colleague of mine at the same outlet.
Yeah.
It's happened several times with the same PR person. That's absolutely irritating.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I mean, even
Javier?
even if it was a different person at the same firm, like
Yeah.
it's still like, if you promise an exclusive, that word means something very specific, and it means only one.
Yes. Yes. I don't understand, you promise an exclusive. And then I find out that a couple of peers, have posted the story already.
Yeah, very
I want-
interesting.
I wanted to add to Michelle's point about follow-ups. Follow-ups can be very valuable. Sometimes things fall through the crack or slip my mind, and I'm grateful to have a follow-up. But if you're going to do that, please include the original thread or point or even sentence about the pitch, below your follow-up. I may not remember your name or what the pitch was about, but maybe it's something that was interested or I had flagged and just didn't get a chance to follow up on. So if you are going to take the time to do 2 or even 3 follow-up emails, make sure that the meat of your pitch is still in there, so it's easy for me to refer to and access. That's a pet
Are
peeve.
3 follow-ups okay with you? I mean, what's the line between persistence and harassment?
Very
Yeah,
good
I think
question, Javier.
more than 3, absolutely not. And really, especially depending if they're how closely, stacked they are. Like if it was this morning, this afternoon, and tonight, no, dude. But if it's over the course of a week or so, then maybe. But typically I'd prefer a follow-up if I had responded to you initially. If there's no initial response from me and you're on your 3rd follow-up, please, we're good. I'm not gonna cover it. But but I think that's very nice, Javier, that you said you try to respond to all of them. Hats off. I don't know how you're doing that, but
You can auto save things on Gmail, right? You have the 3 dots there, and you have like pre-saved, and I have like, thank you, I'm passing this along. No, thank you, I only cover cannabis, hemp, and psychedelics. Are you interested in this? Is an exclusive. This is the only way I would cover it. So I have like 10 preset answers.
smart. I might take that
Highly
tip.
recommended.
I might
I have a
take that tip.
question for all of you. We have a client. He's a little bit of a control freak. Okay, a lot. And he said, Kim, I need to see these articles before they run. And I told him it's not possible, and I thought his head would explode. Tell me, how do you guys, when a client, or I should say a PR person or a business, they come to you and say, I need to see that article before it runs. How do you guys all feel about that? Is it possible, or is it absolutely not?
I mean,
Uh,
anyone.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Javier.
No, Garrett, you.
Garrett?
I mean, I guess I'd just say, I mean, is it at all possible? I mean, I guess anything is there's possibilities for everything, but the general answer is just going to be a sort of flat no. I mean, if we're and there's a multitude of reasons behind that. I mean, one, it takes away our independence as an independent publishing company and an independent journalist. Two, even just from a logistical standpoint, if we start allowing every person we write a story about, or every company we write a story about, to see the story before it goes into publication, I mean, it'd be a logistical nightmare, let alone an ethical and journalistic nightmare. So, I mean, I think every publication is going to be a little bit different in sort of, how solid of a no that is. But I think the majority of publishers, the majority of publications are basically just going to say no, and sort of hope that PR firms will kind of understand those reasonings well enough to explain to their client.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean,
Michelle,
it's
Patricia.
generally a no.
Yep.
I did it when I was 22 years old a couple of times, and it turned into them correcting my style as well, not just fact checking, which
Yep.
suddenly is like also insulting. The
Mhm.
only exception I would make, and I think that is maybe for me, at least, it's not crossing an ethical boundary. I would say 99.9% of the times, no, except if you're, for instance, opening up for the very first time about something like your battle with addiction and something that is super personal, right? And then I might go, but if we agreed upon earlier, I rarely would do it. But again, if you're opening about something that is extremely personal, that has a lot of nuance, that does not relate to a business, where the only thing at stake is your representation of something that might be impactful to others, that might be the only case where I would go, okay, take a look at this, right?
Yes.
But not for style, just
And
like,
to and
okay.
to sort of amplify one of Javier's points here, if this comes up beforehand, then it gives me sort of a chance to sort of weigh that. Let's just use that idea that somebody says, hey, I'm willing to talk about my addiction, and it's highly personal, and it's not something that I've done before, and they put that out there beforehand, that they want to see the story. Then at least I have the option to sit here and kind of weigh, hey, is that something that I'm willing to give up? If that's sort of done midstream, or if that's done after an interview, then it starts crossing even more ethical lines, I think. So I think bringing those crossing those subjects before you get to a point where you're sort of committed, it sort of feels like a gotcha, if you will. If you get to the point where you've done an interview, you've started writing or even completed writing a story, and then you get an email that says, oh, by the way, I want to read that story before it gets published, that's sort of a sort of a screw you, I think, at that point.
Yeah, we've seen stories get dropped because of that, when the reporter's like, no, I'm not going to show it to you. And then it irritates them, and then they're done. Patricia and Michelle, same thing. Do you guys not allow people to preview the story before it runs?
I would like to add that from a small team, a fact-checking perspective sometimes can be helpful, particularly if it's for a cover feature, for example. So sometimes there's industry specific terminology that maybe I'm not familiar with, and I want to make sure that I'm referencing them correctly. I've put things out before and then had the person come back and say, hey, this is an outdated terminology, or this is something that we're not phrasing it that way anymore. And it can affect their amplification of my coverage, which is a bummer for both of us. So I do like to try to give people an opportunity to look at certain elements. So maybe it's just the intro that describes their background or their credentials, or maybe it's just the blurbs that I'm putting on the cover. So I don't, for instance, refer to a WWE star as a diva, which is an outdated terminology, and maybe I didn't know that, right? So sometimes it's helpful, but if you are fortunate enough for a journalist to give you an opportunity to fact check, please do not come back with a rewrite. It is insulting. It takes a ton of time. By the time we've shown you this opportunity to fact check, it's probably already been through a series of rewrites, edits, proofs. So if you have the opportunity to fact check the work before it goes live, respect the time and effort that's already gone into it. Correct any facts that might be wrong, and the rest you're going to have to go with. I mean, if it's accurate, it's accurate.
I couldn't agree more.
My opinion.
And I think it's really one of the reasons, again, to make sure that when you get your pitch ready for the reporter, make sure that you've got your facts, your most important facts that you feel they would be interested in. Because if you can put those on paper, don't ask, like Javier said, hey, can you hop on a call? You better have those written out, whether it's in a press release or bullet points, so that they have to do as little quote fact checking as possible. Give them the meat that they need to write their story. And then when they write their story, if they've chosen a style you particularly don't care for, it's their interpretation of your story. It's not your story. It's their interpretation of your story. Michelle, we are going to, we've got a lot of questions from the audience, but did you have anything you wanted to add to that topic?
I would just, we take a similar approach to Patricia, because a lot of the information we're reporting on is really technical. It's cultivation specific. And we would not want to put information out there about, say, a nutrient regimen, or lighting intensity or humidity, and humidity and other environmental control factors that were not accurate. So we also provide most of the time the opportunity to check for accuracy and fact checking. But I really like what you said, Patricia, about, not rewriting the story, but just making sure that we are accurate, because we're serving the industry. We want to put out information that is correct so that people in cultivation facilities can try to implement their own trials and try this out. And keep the plants healthy, and not put out information that's not correct. So.
Great. Thank you.
Mhm.
A couple quick questions and then we're going to wrap up. Before we even go into questions, I do want to encourage the audience. These individuals are from the editorial side, but advertising allows the publication to survive. So as you're looking at your communications plans for 2024, I like to say, and sometimes my words aren't the greatest, but don't just take. Support back with advertising. Make sure that your media mix includes paid advertising. At Proven Media, Sadie and I like to say that we use the peso model. It's paid media, earned media, shared media, and owned media. So do not go to these publications and just ask. Support back, whether it's with print ads, digital ads, newsletters, purchase. Yeah, make sure that they have the funds they need to survive. As much as you guys need their coverage, they need you as well. So please look at it as a relationship. You cannot just take. I've been married 25 years. I learn this every day. But you have to give as well. You have to give back as well. So with that said, we are so honored to have these individuals from the editorial side, but connect with your advertising individual. They've got programs that can support your endeavor. Make sure that you are including that. Create a media mix to create momentum for your brand, your product, your executives. There was a good question, Inara. I don't know if you're still with us. And I feel like I know you, Inara. I apologize if I don't recognize the face, but question. Do you all prefer full press releases in email or short email pitch with the link to a press kit? And then I'll add, how much in advance do you want the news? So is there anyone who wants to dive in on, again, the question is full press releases in the email or a short pitch with a link to a press kit?
My preference is full email, full press release in the email. It is nice to have that link to a press kit. It kind of lets me know that that they are kind of ready to go with artwork, images, or whatever might be needed. But in terms of the press release itself, I personally like it full press release in the email.
I agree. I like full press release in an email, but linked to images.
Yeah,
Or press
exactly.
kit, yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, it's proven, right? Like even if you look at a website, at any website, the more clicks you have to, like you ask your reader, your customer to make, the more people you lose in the process. Same applies to email. And about what Kim said, I'm never involved in a sale, but do support publications, right? Because a few weeks ago, I had a very difficult situation where a lot of people piled up on me. And, I went to bed at night thinking journalists are held to the highest standards, but none of the people criticizing the work will do anything to support it. None of them are willing to pay $2 a month for a subscription, but they want the highest quality journalism and they deserve it. Everyone deserves it. Right. But yeah, it's important to support journalism, right? It doesn't happen in a vacuum for free.
Yeah,
I do appreciate that point. And we did a cover feature with Ricardo Baca, the Grasslands agency CEO, and he made that exact point, Kim, that if you appreciate these outlets being able to cover you, the least you can do, sign up for their newsletters. It doesn't even cost anything. Give us the numbers to support what we're doing. And if you can financially support it, please, it can't be overstated. So I appreciate that point, Kim.
Yes, agreed. Absolutely. Subscribe to the newsletter, sponsor the newsletter. help to make sure that professional communication and storytelling and getting your word out about your brand help to ensure that survives. One of the other ways, and one of you touched on it, maybe it was Javier, I can't remember. One of the most important things you can do, again, for these reporters is to create relationship, understand it's a give and take, be patient. And then another thing that I always forget to talk about, sharing the story in social. And we're going to wrap up. We have 3 more minutes, but anybody would you guys agree that as you guys evaluate yourselves and are evaluated by your peers and evaluated by your bosses, is sharing those stories, how essential is that for you guys when the viewers or readers share those on social?
I mean, I think it's super important for the readers to share what they're interested in. It lets us know that it's valuable, gives us a little bit of recognition. As far as, you know, the people covered in the stories, I hope they'll share them too. It definitely helps us out, and that's the whole point of the coverage, right? Like you wanted the story, you pitched it. If you're not doing your part and sharing it and amplifying it, then yeah, I'm not sure what the goal is.
Wonderful. Absolutely. I agree. Share, if you're lucky enough to get these press hits, share them, celebrate them, et cetera, et cetera. Lisa has hopped back on again. Lisa is the executive director, owner, founder of the Cannabis Marketing Association. We are so honored to collaborate with you on this Meet the Cannabis Press today. Just a quick shout out. Our next Meet the Cannabis Press event is going to be in Lucky Leaf, at Lucky Leaf Expo in Minneapolis, Minnesota in April 2024. So we hope to see you there. And then Lisa, I want to give a huge shout out also to Sadie Thompson, our senior publicist, to help make this happen. Emily Wells on your team. And Lisa, you want to wrap it up?
Yes, Kim, thank you so much. And panelists, thank you all for your time and your insight. If anyone, chat, panelists wants to drop your contact information, LinkedIn, please feel free to do that in the chat now. Again, I'm Lisa with Cannabis Marketing Association. We help marketing professionals by doing events like this and try to help you guys do better in your 9 to 5 as well. We know how strapped you are for resources. We know how difficult this space is. So we try to create content based on what you need. So also let us know and email us if you have any feedback from our members as far as what you would like to learn, what you need in 2024, and we will consider that and program accordingly. And if you are not a CMA member, Emily put some of our information in the chat. And if you join by the end of the year, we've got a bunch of value adds that we've included, including some complimentary consulting to review any of your marketing strategy, as well as some complimentary ad space in our newsletter and all of our sessions of our Future of Cannabis Marketing talks. And Kim, Iris, Sadie, Michelle, Patricia, Garrett, Javier, big round of applause for all of you. Thank you so much. I know how busy you are and all the emails you probably got in this last hour, but really appreciate your insight and helping to educate everybody. It does, I believe, move the whole industry forward, and we really do need that more now than ever. So thank you so much for all of your time. In any way we can help you at CMA, please let us know. Happy to do so.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.